And we're live, I think. Welcome, folks, to Livestream number 145. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of live streams. I'm Friedemann Findeisen. You're watching the live stream number 145. I don't know why I keep repeating that. And today it is the 12th of September, which means two things. First of all, the Songwriting Decks are finally shipping it to people. We have cleared customs in the States, so they're finally shipping out to the US and Canada. If you live in Europe, you most likely will have your decks already or will receive them very shortly. And Asia, you should have them within 20 days is what I heard from VFI last I talked to them. So VFI has been less than great in communications, unfortunately. They apparently had to let someone go. So it hasn't been like a great situation. And by the way, can you guys hear me? Am I audible? Let me just check the video here. Yes. Okay. Good. Just making sure that I'm not talking in half an hour. I figure out oh, I have to do all of that again. It wouldn't be the first time that happened. So that's the first thing that happened. Songwriting Decks are finally shipping out. The first video reviews of people have come in, and man, I couldn't be more excited. Honestly, this is the reason I'm doing it, is to see people out there using it. And it's just so, this is the main reason I wanted to create the Songwriting Decks and not just like an app where you can just click the button and you see a couple of words pop up. I think it's just so much nicer to have the tangible thing in your hands and seeing people just in YouTube videos just playing with the cards. It makes me so happy. I just think it's the most beautiful thing. So people have like this physical thing sitting on their desk that they can play with. They can pull out cards. They can do fun stuff with it. They can experiment with them, create their own exercises. I really hope that this is going to find its way into all of your guys' daily routines, and it's become a huge part. It's going to become a huge part of what you do on a daily basis anyways. So that's number one. And honestly, it 100% made my day when I saw this review today. It was funny and great. I just absolutely loved it. So that's on this side. On the other hand side, which is also just fantastic, on Monday, or actually Tuesday, if you look at the official numbers, sales for Holistic Songwriting Academy start. So now that the Songwriting Decks are done, swiftly moving to the next project. And this is a big one, not just for me, but I'm sure for you guys as well. This is really my biggest course to date. And I think it's a transformative experience. I'm going to push you hard, but it's going to be a game changer for a lot of folks out there. That's what I want it to be. I designed it to really, when I started the last 2 years or so, I really wanted to rethink holistic songwriting in a completely new way. And I really started with the question, okay, what is it that people want to know? And let's start with that, and let's answer it in the best possible way, in a way that has never been done before. And let's go into as much detail as we need to really give the best possible answers to people. And so the tracking journal was created, the Songwriting Decks were created, and now Holistic Songwriting Academy, which is obviously a huge, huge thing. This is going to be, when it's done, something like 50 hours or so. It's going to be a huge course. If you look at all three trimesters together, the first one already is like 18 hours or so, plus all the exercises and all the other stuff that you're getting. It's an insane thing, and a really good deal, I think. I'm going to disclose the pricing to you guys now, just because you are in the know. You're here on Patreon, so I'm going to tell you that I fought very hard to keep the pricing as low as possible, and because I wanted it to be affordable for students as well. Now, we can't keep up this pricing forever, fortunately. But for this first one, my big argument versus the team was hey, this is the trial run. I see this as a trial run as well. I'm doing it for the first time, so I can't make any promises. I think the course is great. I've put my all into it. I think it's the biggest and best songwriting course that's ever been created. Obviously, I'm biased on that, but as a creator, this is my opinion, right? I can voice my opinion. but I still see it as a test run, right? For me, it's like, I mean, I know the course can always be better. I don't know what it could be right now, but after we go through this entire course, I want to ask people, I mean, I will every week, but I will ask people, what do you think what could be improved about this? And then I want to improve it every year. I want to make it better every single time. So it is going to get more expensive every year. But right now, for this first year, it's going to be $297 a month for 4 months, which is, I think, affordable for everyone. And if you want to pay it all in one go, it's less than $1,000. So I think that's a very, very fair deal, especially considering how much is in that course. I mean, if you saw all the material that's in there, it's a ton of stuff. Even if you've been writing songs for years, there's going to be a lot of stuff in here for you that you've never seen before. So I'm beyond excited for it. It's going to be a game changer, not just for you, but for me as well. I mean, this is the stuff that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to create like something that matters, you know. And this is my life's work. It really is. It's the big one. So I'm excited about it. Shall we look at some questions for today? Let's do that. So let's see. So I have gotten some comments from you guys, from Ator mostly, who's sort of the guardian angel of Patreon, that some of the comments have disappeared miraculously on Patreon, which is annoying because it means that sometimes I don't see all the questions. That's annoying. I don't know how that happens. I don't even know what you guys can do to avoid that happening. Just post them again next week. I'm totally fine with that. Like I don't have anything against that. I love answering questions and I love listening to your songs. So don't feel bad about just posting it the week after. Anyways, let's start with some questions. First of all, we have a question from Andrew, who says, "Hi, Friedemann. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed your old lesson on the 3 pillars of hook, groove, and non-lyrical storytelling. I wrote those 3 things on a yellow sticky note and had it stuck on my screen for 12 months. It helped me stay focused when I was tempted to waste time wandering down side streets. I know you've revised your thoughts on the pillars. I've really found those three things were enough. Once I applied the energy curve ideas from the addiction formula, what other pillars should I be thinking about?" Hey, really funny that you should mention it, because these 3 pillars are actually what started off Holistic Songwriting Academy. I've since refined it a bunch. So they were, as you say, hook, groove, and non-lyrical storytelling. I've since broadened each of these a little bit. So hook is now called pitch, because it's not just about the melody, but it's also about the harmony underlying the melody. So it's really the 2 together forming a union, because I think it is a really big part. Like you can sing one hook in against many different chords, and not all of those combinations will sound good. So I had to kind of put the harmony in there as well, even though harmony as it's on its own, I don't think is that powerful, but together with the hook, it becomes a really powerful thing. So that's pitch. That's going to be the second trimester in Holistic Songwriting Academy. Groove, which is going to be the first trimester, anything to do with rhythm. And honestly, I think it's unbelievable going through, researching, doing all the research this year and the last couple of years. But especially this year, like really sitting down and really figuring out what the rules are, really figuring out what the laws or the rules are going to be for the course. It's unbelievable how much groove does to a song. Like it surprised me so much, especially when it comes to arranging, how important the rhythm actually is. So much more important than harmony. It really is unbelievable how much the rhythm can change the appearance of the song. It's unbelievable. So I like right now, and maybe it's just because I've been looking into groove so heavily over these last couple of months, I'm tempted to say that groove might be the most important pillar out of all 3 pillars. Again, might just be because that's all I've been focusing on. So I might, get a little bit of that going on. But yeah, it's unbelievably important just for creating clear arrangements, man. I mean, it's a huge, huge deal. So that's the first trimester. And in the third trimester, which I now call story, that's going to incorporate things such as lyrical storytelling or the addiction formula, whatever you want to call it. So structuring in a way, and also lyrics. Now, I've come around on lyrics as well. Like I've really thought a lot about lyrics since I wrote the lyric writing master files, and I've kind of changed my opinion on a lot of things from a teaching standpoint. Like I've been pretty much writing the same way my lyrics, but I think I've changed my mind about them quite a bit. So when I wrote the lyric writing master files, I was a little too shy, I think, in just saying what works. And I looked a little bit too much to other teachers, thinking about like, well, here's what Pat Pattison says or Andrea Stolpe says. They're obviously pros. I mean, they work at Berkeley, so they must be the best in the world. So let's look at what they're saying. I'm not saying these people don't have any good points. I mean, Andrea Stolpe's book is probably my favorite songwriting book outside of my own, obviously. Again, biased on that, but I mean, I create products that I love, so would be weird if I didn't like my own book, I think. So forgive me the hubris here of saying that I think it's the best songwriting book, but you know, that doesn't mean shit, obviously. But the thing is, what I've since learned about lyric writing, what I've since learned about teaching lyric writing is the content. You can be a really great lyricist without having any clue what you're really talking about. You know, you could write a great fucking lyric. You could write a song that sounds like you really have so much to say in your lyrics just because you know how techniques work. And that's the stuff that I want to teach, especially in that trimester. I feel like all the teachers are teaching how to write with more color, how to express yourself artistically. What I really want to focus on is the technicalities of it. Like, what are some things that your lyrics need to be able to do? Like, how do lyrics actually work? Now, that's going to be a huge amount of work still. And luckily, I have till 2022 to actually do all that work, because that's when that course is going to come out. But that's the plan, at least. The other pillars, there's not really other pillars. Those are my 3 pillars, right? But there are there are two topics you should know about that I also cover in Holistic Songwriting Academy. So at the beginning of every trimester, I want to go through a couple of things that I think are also important, that are not really part of songwriting, but they're also important. In the first trimester, it's basically just like an opening to the entire course. It's about being creative, how to work as a creative person in this industry, sort of like that, the way of the songwriter, right? So it's really just an introduction to songwriting in general. In the second trimester, I want to talk about performance, working with people, getting the best performances out of them, getting the best performance out of yourself, production, sound, because I think those are just huge. I mean, 30% of songwriting today is at least is production. If you look at pop music, it's probably closer to 60 or 70%, and only 30% is like something, you know, some songwriting, some arranging. But it's pretty much going through the motion. Most of the songwriting today is really production. So that's something I'm going to talk about in the second trimester. Not really teaching you how to produce, but just like how to think about production as a songwriter, and how that's different from how producers think about producing. And then in the so that would be, if you want to talk about pillars. Again, I think it's just those 3, but that is definitely something that's hugely important, is production, getting the sounds right, getting the performances right. That all is part of that. And then in the third trimester, what I want to talk about in the beginning is, in a way, marketing. And that's where I'm going to be talking for the very first time about image. I mean, I've talked about it in the artist series, but never from the perspective of a songwriter, mostly from the perspective of someone who's interested in what other artists are doing, right? So looking at what is Adele doing with her image. This time I'm going to say like, well, okay, so how can we create something like Adele? How can we create that image for ourselves? And there's a lot to say here, even if not for yourself, but maybe for an artist that you're working for, right? You have to figure out like, what is their art, what is their image, and how can you write into it? So that's what I'm going to talk about in the third trimester. And that's something that I genuinely think is really important. And that's part, like as sound and performance were part of production, that's part of marketing. And I'm going to be talking about marketing a little bit as well. Things such as how to put yourself out there best, and how to think about putting your work out there. Things like that. Good. So that was a long answer, but I think, yeah, to me, this is something I'm continuously working on. And I'm sure, like, you know, in 3 years when Holistic Songwriting Academy is like complete, I'm still going to be working on it. And it's just, it's a work in progress. I mean, I see myself in a way, or I treat it as if I were a scientist, right? I try not to take anything for granted. I try to question my own assumptions about music all the time. If someone comes up to me and says like, hey, you know what, but what about this case? Here it totally doesn't work. Or I have found an exception to your rule, or here this shows that your rule is wrong. I'm always ready to change my assumptions. That's what I've been doing this entire time anyways. I approached it with some expectations, as you have to, and then I tried to figure out whether there is anything that that speaks for this assumption. And I've always tried to find examples for it. And I've whittled it down so much that at this point, I really think like I've got some really good, strong theories that work in almost all scenarios. And yeah, so in 3 years, my answer might be very different than today, but that's what it is right now. Next, we have a question from Nico. But before I'm going to read it out, let me just have a sip of water here. All right, Nico says, hi, Friedemann. I might have found an option to receive an email when there is a post in the community feed, but because there are no posts lately, I haven't been able to test it. Maybe someone can post something. Oh, that's cool. This is how you set it up for yourself. Avatar with your mouse pointer and select My Profile Settings. On the tab Email Notifications, check Product Updates and Community Announcements. P.S. I've just put the announcement on my very first Spotify release there. Cool. Hey, I like it. That's a really good point. Everyone, follow Nico. Follow Nico's instructions. I like that idea. I actually should do that myself. Hopefully I don't forget it. But after this live stream, I should totally do that. Because people have been asking me questions there, and I totally didn't see it. Miko says, hi, Friedemann. We moved earlier this year and got an acoustic piano. Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations. I'm nuts about it. The problem is that I'm rarely home alone and my family doesn't want to listen. Okay, well, that's a shame. My 4-year-old daughter says, it sounds too sad. Do you know any digital pianos that you would recommend? Should have a nice feel and sound like a real piano. Also, which MIDI keyboard do you use? P.S. I know Gear doesn't write songs. It's been a tough year in terms of songwriting. So for my keyboard, I use, what is it called again? Let me just check. Give me 1 second. Oh, I know. It's an M Audio. M Audio? That's what it is. M Audio, let me just Google that. What's the exact name of it? I think it's a Key Station 49, is it? No, that's not it. But it has weighted keys, which is the thing to look out for. I think it's this one here, code 49. That's the one. Yep, that it is. So it's called M Audio or M Audio, M-Audio, code 49, black. So it's about 200 euros. It's a good one. I like it. Perfect. It's got a couple of pads for you to program drums too. I don't personally use that, but that's cool. It's a good MIDI keyboard. Oh wait, I'm on the songs tab. Here we go. So that one I like. That's my MIDI keyboard. And so digital pianos. I mean, I've always loved emotional piano 1 and 2. I think those are just absolutely insane for like sad, beautiful pieces. To me, it's just it's unbelievable how good that piano sounds. I think they put some felt on the beaters or something like that when they recorded it, but it just sounds so good. What else is there? I mean, that's just really my favorite. I usually when I use piano, it's for that sound. So that's the piano I use on pretty much everything. I personally, I'm not the biggest fan of just like a clean piano sound. Like I'm always going to try to go for something that has a little bit more character. That's why I like the emotional piano so much. And I think just a bland piano sounds it just sounds a little bland to me personally. But I mean, like there's Alicia's keys and stuff like that. I'm sure there's some new ones out there that are a lot better than that old stuff from Native Instruments. But I've never been much of a writer for the piano, so I probably shouldn't be the person to ask here. I mean, I had like the Giant by Native Instruments and what is it called, New York piano or something like that. I had like the ones from the Complete bundle, and I used those a bit. But it never really sang for me in a way. They all sound a little bit bland to me. But emotional piano is just, that's the one I stuck with. For me personally, that's the best sounding piano library. But again, it's just a very specific thing. Like you're going to get like a really warm, beautiful sound out of it. But if you want something that's a little more honky tonk or something, then that's obviously not the right thing. Okay. And, you know, you say Gear doesn't write songs, and that's true. But libraries do. I mean, I've written a lot of songs just because I was inspired by like a really interesting sound in a library. So that's absolutely a thing. Like I know for a fact that because I had emotional piano, I was able to write some beautiful ballads, which I never would have been able to write with Alicia's keys or New York piano or whatever they're called. So it absolutely does. I think sample libraries are so inspiring. If you have like a great sample library, man, I mean, it can make all the difference. And finally, when another question from Nico says, I'll put my question in this new post. How do you know you've done everything to make a song as good as it can get? That more improvements might begin to suck the life out of it. Laziness versus perfectionism. Any tips? This is a hard one. You know, for me, it's never really been too much of a problem because in my head, I have pretty much, I got my process whittled down pretty much to where I know like, okay, this is good enough. Like, if I listen through a song and I'm like, oh, you know, this could be done, that could be done, but it's really fine, then I know it's done. So I do work on my songs until I really think they're perfect. Like on the Kanoet record, there's 3 moments where I still think like, maybe I should have gone over that one more time, but I needed to send in the tracks for mixing. So I'm fine with those moments. And it's just 3 small things that, like, even if I listen to them now, I'm like, yeah, it could be better, but it's fine. You know, nobody's gonna notice. I really worked tirelessly on those songs until I was sure that they're perfect. And to me, just again, it's just my perspective here. Obviously, I'm the creator, so I'm very biased on that. But to me, the songs are perfect. Like I pushed them to a point where I was like really confident. Like musically, lyrically, I know it's not perfect, but musically, to me, it's a really good, strong album. However, you know, when I say that, you have to realize that I'm very fast when I write. So for me, it takes, I guess, to finish my first demo is going to take anywhere from 2 to 6 hours or so. And then to refine it over and over again, it's going to take me maybe another 5 to 10 hours or so. So I'm fast, you know, and I have a couple of techniques in place for me to make sure that I stay a little bit more objective on my songs. One of them is, I have a couple, man. I mean, there's so many little things that you can do. One of them is I don't show my songs to other people. So I keep them pretty much to myself. And for me, that works really well because I get like, when I show it to other people, like that's my main thing. I write music for other people, you know. That's my way of connecting with the world, is writing songs. Always has been. So when I show it to someone, that to me is like reward. And I force myself not to get that reward. Like I want to push that reward as far back as possible, because I know that if I show it to people and they say, oh, wow, this sounds really great, I'm going to be like, okay, this is done. And then I'm not going to work on it anymore. And even if it's not finished. So I'm going to work on it until I know it's finished. And then I'm going to show it to people. So that helps me a lot for sure. That's a big one. Another big one, maybe even bigger to most of you, is going to be not listening to your songs when you're not working on them. So I used to put my songs on my iPod, listen to them all the time. And the problem with that is you get tired of them, you know? And for the Kanoet project, I was able to, some producer, I think it was, I forgot who it was, but a hit producer said, like, here's what a hit is. A hit is a song where the energy from the writing room when the song first was created is kept until the very end of the production process. When you can keep that energy from start to finish, that's a hit. And I really like that definition. And it's the same for me. So I have kind of adjusted my whole writing process around that idea. And so for me, it was the whole idea with the Kanoet record was whenever I returned back to writing, I was excited, not just because I got to write more on the song, but just because I got to hear it again. The only time when I heard my tracks was when I was writing on them. So I didn't get tired of them because I didn't listen to them all the time. I didn't get the sense of like accomplishment of, you know, I'm done already because I didn't get to listen to them and feel like, oh, this is what it sounds like to be a listener. No, I only got to listen to them through the eyes of the creator, right? This is not done yet. What can we do to make it better? And I only listened to it for the first time as a leisurely activity when the whole thing was done, when it came back from the mixer. So yeah, that will be my two big things. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but thinking about a couple of those and thinking about how what is your purpose when you write music? Like, what are you getting out of it, and kind of working around that. And for me, again, it's writing for other people. So I had to make sure that I don't get that too quickly, that sense of accomplishment by showing it to people. And also, like, it's that sense of perfectionism, and it's also a little bit of laziness, again, as you said. So again, my thing was just listen to the songs when you're working on them. Cool. All right. Let's move on to some songs here. And we got 5 of them today, starting with a song from Alvaro, who says, "Hello, Mr. F. I'm excited for HSA. Hopefully, I get a seat September 14. Let's hope for it, man. It'd be cool to have you there. Here we go. All right, let's check it out. This is called TTC version 2, is it? There we are. It is. All right, let's check it out. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. I remember this from last week.
I ride TTC, baby girl, wanna fuck with me? Oh, I wanna know. I ride TTC, baby girl, wanna fuck with me? Oh, I wanna know.
The arrangement sounds much cleaner now.
No going back, promise never going low. No going back, promise that I never go. I remember days that I couldn't go on 24. Now we keep it analytics like I am the marketer. For the cars, for the difference.
Okay, now it's getting a little too much. The piano and that harpsichord. Now that's a little too much. Too many melodies at the same time, unfortunately. So I would write something for the piano, something like this. Would have already been enough, just single notes.
Oh, I wanna know.
Cool.
Yeah. Now giving out everything I ever owe. Man, titties out everywhere I ever go.
Oh, I like this part, man.
Like the rodeo, this type of race, you just gotta put on overload. Niggas tell me change, know the farthest that I ever go. Promise this one thing, this will never ever go and broke. Give them some time while they putting out a little smoke. Put it down as history, we have a victory.
Oh, nice. And nice transition back to the chorus. I like it. Cool, man. Nice work. So apart from that piano, man, there's not really anything that I dislike about the song now. I think the first verse is a lot better than it was last time. Still not quite at the level of verse 2, if you ask me, but it's good. It's definitely a lot better. Definitely a lot stronger than it was last week. And again, that piano still annoyed me a little bit, but other than that, I think you're really close now. The chorus, there's notes in your singing in the chorus that are a little too off pitch for me. That just don't sound that great. I think if you use some auto-tune on that, you know, I'd forgive you. I'd be fine with that, unless it's really something you don't want to do. But it just sounds a little flat in terms of pitch. It just could be a little more on pitch. But it's cool, man. Like, this to me is like if you can take care of that piano and the hook a little bit, this is like a vintage song and the best thing I've heard from you so far. So Congratulations, man. The second verse is friggin' on fire. Love it. All right. Cool, man. Nico says, hi, Friedemann. Today I received the first mix of 1 and 1 just in time for you to have a listen to before sending it in my revision notes. Exciting, man. Can't wait to hear it with vocals, hopefully. Track now has real drums, bass, and a pro singer. Oop. Okay, cool. I rewrote the guitar arp part, the arpeggio part, in the verses to avoid a stop and go effect, and the drummer filled out the dead air moments in the chorus. Cool. So should I read the proper mixing notes? Let's read them. Vocals could be a tad louder, especially in the verses. Guitar and chorus a bit too muffled. Okay. Bridge part 2. So too muffled usually means not enough highs. Bridge part 2, remove or make reverb more subtle on the low-pitched vocals. Okay, I'll try to remember that. Backing vocals should be louder. Okay. Overtone keys in the outro should be more subtle in the mix. The backing vocals not being loud enough is like a very common thing. Like I had that on the Canaan record as well. Like when I record them, obviously I make them really loud because I have to hear what's going on. But in the final mix, they're usually very soft. So I wouldn't be surprised if the backing vocals are placed just right. And it's just like a personal thing for you. I'm actually going to put on the headphones for this so I can really evaluate the mix. So you guys won't be able to hear what I'm listening to, but they should give me a better understanding of what's going on. So I'm just using the Super Lux here, which is a great headphone, very cheap, but you know, among the best. HD 681. I think they're like $30 or so, and they sound freaking phenomenal. Okay. Overtone keys in the outro should be more subtle in the mix. Okay, so let's check that out. Again, this is called 1 + 1. Cool, man. Yeah, again, huge difference to your version, obviously. And I like your singer a lot. She's the one you've worked with before, right? I like her sound. She's got a good sound. And all in all, I think the sounds of all the instruments are really good. The drums just feel really sweet, round sound, bass as well. So let's go to the mix though. So I assume that's what you want me to talk about the most. I think all the problems we really talked about in terms of the writing, especially with the guitar part, seem to work for me now. The stop and go is no longer a problem, I don't think. If we're going to talk about the writing, the one moment that I think could be cooler is this. That moment, like after the bridge, just feels a little. There's no tension there. It feels like it ends, and then like, oh, and here's the last chorus. You know, it doesn't feel like we're really like on the edge of our seat waiting for that last chorus. So. You know, if you had like a little fill that 1 and 1 would solve the entire problem. But here it just feels like it ends and we're like, okay, what's happening? And then a couple of seconds later, music continues. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess the song is not over yet. So we need a little of tension leading up to that moment. Okay. Because otherwise, again, we have that stop and go thing. You can use breaks in your music, obviously, but usually you want to have something that picks up that acts as a pickup phrase, whether that's a fill, whether that's an actual pickup phrase in the vocals, or something like that. But you want something to kind of fill those silences, unless you really want to like have a crazy moment where people think the song is over and then you start again. You know, that's also a possibility, of course. But here it feels like a weird in between that doesn't really work. Okay, so let's talk about it. So with the vocals, you said they could be a tad louder, especially in the verses. I don't know. I think they're fine. I mean, yeah, but I think they could sound fuller. They sound a little tiny, I think. They could just sound a little warmer, a little bigger, you know. And main thing for that is they sound just very mono, very, very small in terms of the EQing, in terms of the compression maybe as well. They just sound a little kind of, they sound more here than like here, you know. I don't want them to be like this mono thing back here. I want them to be a little broader. Like someone standing right in front of me, I'm not going to feel like they're like here. I'm going to feel like they're here. You know what I mean? Like if I'm standing very close to you, you're going to hear me a little bit stereo. You're not going to hear me mono just because you're so close to me. And like whatever you're saying, what comes out of your mouth is going to reach both of my ears. So I want a little bit more stereo, not just in the chorus, but also the verses, a little bit more stereo, just so it sounds a little more natural. The chorus is fine. I think so let's go through it though. Let's go through your list one by one. Guitar and chorus are too muffled. I didn't actually pay attention to that. Let me listen to that one more time. There we are. Okay. So guitar and the chorus, yeah? Okay, I have to reload that. Why am I not hearing anything? Is there a good reason for it? Great. Now I can't hear anything. Check. Why not? That is so bizarre. Maybe I have to set it up in Chrome itself. Ugh. You know what? We're just gonna pass on that one. I'm sorry. If it feels too muffled, if it doesn't have enough high, I'd say, of course. But now it's not even playing back like this. That's weird. Huh. That is so strange. That is really bizarre. Okay, it's not working for some reason. Okay, anyways, could be too muffled. I don't know. Bridge part 2, remove or make reverb more subtle on the low-pitched vocals. Was there much reverb on the low-pitched vocals? I mean, there was like a delay on it, or like could be a reverb with a really long pre-delay. Yeah, that was a little much. I also thought the low-pitched vocals felt a little odd because it felt like the the whole song feels like a sweet pop song. And then that seemed like such a thing from EDM or from much darker music. It felt a little bit out of place, these low pitched vocals there. So I mean, I'd totally be fine if it was just repeated the first part of the bridge. Backing vocals should be louder. I think the backing vocals are totally fine. I even thought they were pretty loud, to be honest. So they definitely don't need to be louder, I don't think. But I understand where that comes from, because we hear them, we make them louder in our own productions, of course, because we need to hear them, we need to hear what they're doing. But for a finished production, generally it's better to keep them lower in the mix, because we do want to hear the main vocals mostly. Overtone keys in the outro should be more subtle in the mix. Yeah, I'm not sure about that part in general. Like, I don't know what that's really adding to the arrangement. It feels like that's just adding a new dimension that wasn't really needed. So I think I'd take that out in general. It didn't really feel like it really added anything. Other than that, man, cool, good work. And I'm sure you can turn this into something great. It just feels like the mix feels a little bare bones still. Like it doesn't have a lot of magic to it yet, I think. And that's kind of what you need to find. I think the performances are all solid. I think you can find it, but it's going to need a little bit more. And honestly, maybe this is just me. And I mean, keep in mind that I come from metal background, but I like mixing that has a little bit of character, right? I like it when some stuff is maybe has a little bit more drive than it needs, a little bit of saturation and stuff like that. I think the song is just the mix is fine. It's fine. Apart from the things that I talked about, I think the vocals really do need to sound warm stereo. And I'm not talking about like a wide stereo, but like a little bit more stereo. But I think it doesn't really have much magic. I don't think it has much character to it. And I think what's missing is like someone saying, like putting a little bit of their artistic spin on it. It sounds a little bit too by the books right now, as far as I'm concerned. So it's not going to be, this is not a mix that would really like, you know, stand out, if you know what I mean. So like having one or two instruments that really sound interesting and weird and maybe not good, you know. There's so many songs out there right now where just the main instrument just doesn't even sound very good, but it's just has so much character that's totally makes the song. One of my ideas for if I ever make a next Kano album, one of my ideas was like, or if I ever make it like something more electronic, put that out like as a proper record, it would be to just like start with sound design and find some sounds that aren't actually like really pretty, and then just treat them as if they were like legitimate instruments, you know, and try to work around the fact that they're not really pretty. A lot of production, a lot of creative work is often finding beauty in negative spaces or in ugliness, you know, finding something ugly and repeating it often enough or treating it in such a way that it does sound great at the end of it. And we find something beautiful in that, you know? Yeah, so it just reminds me like, I'm not an Instagram person, but I know of this channel, I don't know, it's some dog channel, I guess. And it's a really ugly dog, right? But I love something and it's the dog's name or something like that, right? Or everybody loves and then the name of the dog. And it's this really, really, really not pretty dog. It really is, it does look really odd. But because there's so many pictures of it and they all are really sweet, you kind of fall in love with the dog. And that's kind of the point, you know? The message of the whole thing is like, you know, beauty isn't on the outside. Like, you know, the true beauty of this dog is on the inside. And this is a really sweet dog and we love him very much. And it's kind of the same with production in a weird way. If you can create something that first seems ugly, it's something that really stands out, you know. This is tricky to do, by the way. You know, you can't go too far. You can make it so ugly that people would just not want to listen to the song. But if you can make it something ugly so people first go, ooh, what's this? And then they're like, oh, but it's kind of cool. Then you got them. Like that's a great place to be, you know. And that's what I'm missing in this mix a little bit. It's just a little too vanilla for my taste. Okay, I've talked about this for a really long time. Let's move on to Andrew's song. Who says, "Hey, Friedemann, you heard this song. It was just a rough MIDI version. You told me to watch my energy levels, especially on the cymbals, to clean up my guitar tones. and to work on my vocal performance. I've had singing lessons for 2 months now. Dude, you rock, man. Seriously. Thanks for all your advice over the last year or two. All my growth is due to you. Dude, it is because you put hard work into it and because you actually do take vocal lessons. How many people can actually say that about themselves? Seriously. Dude, I'm impressed. Really. Okay, culminate. Let's hope that this actually works because the other SoundCloud link didn't even work anymore. So let's check it. It doesn't. It's not playing back. So what should I do? You know what? I'm going to open it in Firefox. Let's see if that helps. Maybe it's the browser. It seems like it's the problem with the browser. I don't really know what else it could be. It's a big difference. Hopefully you can hear that too, but man. Man, big improvements for sure. Big improvements. I like it, especially your voice, man, is really, you've done a lot with that for sure. It's still not perfect, but it's gotten a lot better. So, which is, I mean, exactly where you want to be. You know where you're going, you know what you have to do to get there. But you are making steady progress. This is exactly where you want to be. So this is absolutely fantastic. I think your sounds are much better. I can hear everything now. I can properly hear the song. And it's good. It works. It works really well. So few things. Just thinking about the order in which. So number one being the mix. I think so the mix is a little odd for me still. The bass is very loud. The vocals are very loud. The guitars and drums are feel a little bit soft to me. So to me, this kind of style, and I mean, everyone is different, obviously, but it's maybe just my preference, but I definitely would have made the guitars louder, right? Like I want to have like the guitars, like the driving thing together with the bass and the drums underneath it. That's supposed to be one fat unit. And they all need to be kind of the same loudness, I think. They're supposed to form one unit. And then on top of that, or in that, in rock, the vocals don't have to be here. They can be more here. That's totally fine. It depends on what you like. Personally, in rock music, I like it if the vocals get drowned out by the guitars a little bit. because in rock, mostly what I'm listening to is the instrumentation, and that's what I'm mostly interested in. Obviously, the melody is important too, but it doesn't have to be as loud. It's not pop music, right? You don't have to have like a really upfront, very loud vocal. So personally, I would have looked to find that wall of sound in the guitars, bass, and drums together, right? And right now, you really have a strong bass. Guitar is a little bit softer, so they don't sound like one unit. They really sound a little bit disjunct from one another. And the bass is really what's supposed to connect the kick drum with the guitars. The bass is supposed to be like the low end of the guitar almost. And they're supposed to form one sound. And then rhythmically, the bass and the drum and the kick drum kind of form one unit. So that's how you combine all of those together. But you have to still find the right balance and volume, and also EQing to make sure that those elements all form this V shape that the vocals then can sit in at the top. And man, again, I'm getting a little bit hoarse. I'm going to drink some more. This is water, by the way. I made it sound like it was vodka or something. I don't drink alcohol, in case you didn't know. So, right. So that's number one. Sometimes the vocal doubles a little bit in terms of timing weren't quite on the main vocals. There was a little bit of that happening. And that's mainly also because the main vocal, sometimes the timing is just a little wobbly. That's something that you can still work on. It's much better than the last time I heard the song. And I remember it being quite problematic to a point where I couldn't really tell what exactly the song, like what the exact melody was supposed to be. It's gotten a lot better now, but it's still a little bit of a problem. But it's definitely getting better. So and typically what we want for backing vocals is to be like right on the main vocals, right? Rhythmically, they should be exactly like the main vocals. And I go through all the effort of editing all my backing vocals so that all the consonants line up, all the note lengths are exactly the same as with the main vocals. I use a tool called FlexTime for that. That's the Logic uses. There's a lot of them. Every DAW, every big DAW has one of these pieces of software that you can use for precisely that. I would never touch my main vocals. That I'm just going to re-record until I get it right, or I'm going to just straight up edit it. But I would never stretch or squeeze it. You know, I'd never do that because it's really going to mess up the sound. It's not good. But for backing vocals, who are going to be very soft in the mix anyways, you know, not a problem at all. Okay, so that's that. The answer here or there could have been a little bit clearer, but it's fine. Like I could follow the structure. So it worked fine. I like that at the end it gets more energetic. That was definitely cool with the snare drum. That pattern changes at the end really helps us. Some backing vocals here or there in terms of harmony could have been cool, especially in the chorus to just make it feel a little bit bigger still. And that's mainly what I mean by structure, is that the chorus could have felt a little bit bigger still. And I don't quite know how. I think backing vocals might be a good idea. But just think about how you could do that. That's really it. I don't really have anything more to say about it, I don't think. What was the bridge again? I'm trying to remember that. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Cool, yeah, very good. And you get some lovely comments there as well from Cantrell Tiffany, who wants to send you completely naked photos. So there's that. I'm sure that's totally legit. Okay, cool. So that was Call My Name of Andrew Knox. Good job, man. Kyle says, howdy, here's the ladies and gentlemen track. Thanks in advance for the feedback. Let's check it out. This is called Open Arms, September 11. Man. That's dark. Okay. Yeah, it's still no luck on Chrome. So let's go back to Firefox here. Here we are. Ah, it's a nice sound, man. Nice sounding guitar. As you walk into the room, look around, who do you know?
As you walk in.
Minor nibble, minor comment here. But to me, it's weird that the kick drum, that electronic kick drum, comes in on like bar 2 of a 4-bar section. Like to me, I would never introduce a kick drum there. That seems like a really odd moment. Like if it came here when the vocals start.
As you walk, as you walk into the room.
So yeah, as you walk into the room, it feels like that section is not done yet. And in the middle of the section, you new instrument. It's weird. I just like typical arrangement rules just say like, you know, every 4 bars, or maybe this was 4 bars, but this clearly felt like only half of a phrase. I really never introduce new elements like halfway through a section. It just always feels a little bit awkward. There's some exceptions for it, but like the kick drum is a big deal, and I would never introduce it halfway through a section.
Look around, who do you know? These are the strangest times. We cannot touch, we cannot be close.
I want to hear this with headphones. I'm sorry, everyone, if you were tuning in to listen to the song. I just really want to hear it. Right, I want to hear the bass. I'm going to go back a little bit. Dude, that transition to the second verse was awesome. Oh, and I like that bass. Oh, I really like that. It's a cool groove as well. Or like, I guess. Oh, that bass, man. Ending on the James Bond chord. Man, dude, this might be my favorite song of you guys yet. Wow. I mean, man, I really like the sounds in this. I really like the sounds in this. Pooh. I mean, I really like that bass. That sounds, and I like the line that it's playing, especially the rhythm is like is just so groovy. I love that. I love the guitar against it. There are some moments where the guitar sounds really, really bright, very sharp. I like it in the early and late section, like the intro and the outro. But in the chorus, for example, it's really like, it really is clanging along a little bit. That could definitely use a little bit more body, a little bit less high mids. But man, I really like this one. I love that transition back to the second verse. Usually not a big fan of transitions back because I think like that's the moment where you just get to keep it moving, like let people know like they're in safe hands, because that's the trickiest part to arrange always for any arranger is that moment going back from chorus to second verse, because that's the first time they're hearing something they've already heard. And like if it's not better than the first time they heard it, then you've lost them. So I'm not quite sure you pull off the second verse. Oh, actually, I do. I really like what you're doing there with the drums and the bass. That section. That's actually a really strong section. So yeah, you absolutely pull that off. I love the transition back from chorus to second verse. I love that. It's weird. It's wacky. I like all the sounds you're using here. Really, a lot. Again, if that guitar was a little bit less clangy, that would certainly help. I love the grooves. I mean, it's one of my favorite grooves. That clack, 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 clack. It's just such a good groove, and it works so well in this. So the one comment I really have for you guys is the chorus. Does that really need to be halftime? To me, it really should feel like it should be a standard chorus. It really feels like the halftime is taking the speed, is taking the momentum out of it. And is breaking the movement pattern a bit too much, and it just feels a little slow. Like that's the moment where I just want to go crazy. That's the moment when I want to start dancing and really want to get into the song. And it feels like the slow backbeat is just kind of pulling out the energy. So the first chorus just felt a little like a disappointment, and then like 3/4 through or so, I figured out like, hey, if this was standard time, this would actually be fantastic. And the second chorus, I just pretended it was standard time, and it worked a lot better for me. I mean, try it out. Maybe you like it. But I think that the halftime really sucking out the fun out of that chorus, because it's a great chorus. I really like it. I like all the drumming on this. I think all the transitions make sense. Structure-wise, this makes sense. I like the performances all the way through. I like the vocals. I've always liked your guys' vocals. I mean, really, really cool vocal sound and great melody, great sense of melodies. I like that build up to the chorus. That sounds really nasty and powerful. I like that a lot. You added like another bar or something to it, right? Like 3 beats or 4 beats or something, which is a little weird. And I think if it would just like, if you didn't add that bar there at the end, or it feels like the chorus should come earlier. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just multiple of 4, but it sounds like the chorus should come in a little earlier. I don't know why. But the sound is so nasty of the bass and the drums hitting together. That sounds really like, oh, cool. I can't wait to hear what's going to happen. But it's with all that build up and then going to something that feels so slow. It's just tearing me apart, guys. Like, you can't do that to me. I really like it, man. This is, as I said, I think this is your best track yet. It's really coming together, and it really makes sense to me. The mix needs work. Some instruments sound really bright. The vocals sound very dull. And by that I just mean the mixing. They need more highs, whereas the rest of the instruments could sound a little bit duller. Could sound a little more muffled. I don't know, dull. That's the word I use for it. a little bit less highs, a little bit less sharp. The vocals could sound a little bit more upfront. But man, just in terms of the songwriting and the performances, I really like this one, and I hope you do something with it. I think it's really great. Especially that bass riff is just really doing it for me. And with that groove together, it's just one of my favorite grooves, man. I don't know if you've ever seen. Nobody has seen that series. I keep asking that question, but nobody's ever seen it. A series called In Treatment. It's one of my favorite series, actually. It just plays in one room. It's a psychotherapist talking to his patients. And at the end, there's no music throughout the entire thing. It's like 1 hour, just two people talking. I love it. To me, it's like a thriller. I just think psychology is so fascinating, and obviously they're made to be exciting as well. But at the end, there's always like a very short piece of music at the end of that. At the end of those episodes over the credits, and there's one of them that has this exact groove, and it's just one of the it's exactly that groove that fits the show. It's with the rhythm click and just on all fours. It's just such a sexy, unbelievably sexy groove. Yeah, so, and I love it here. It sounds really fantastic. More of this, please. And I mean, just explore, do new things. Of course, I'm not saying like, if you do, you have to repeat this song at Findeisen. It's great, man. I really like what you're doing. I really like where this is going. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Seriously. Cool. Very cool, man. I'm so excited about all the songs today. Like, everything has just been great so far. And now here comes Kamal. Well, thank you very much, Kamal. So he says, hey, here's Amour déchu. Déchu. I probably fucked up this bridge transition. Okay. So sorry for mispronouncing that. Well, let's check it out. I'm going to use the headphones for this one as well. Cool. Here we are. Oh, yeah, of course. I have to move it to Firefox. Here we are. Amour déchu. Amour déchu. Is that it? I mean, you're just killing me with your titles. You know that? Like, I feel like at this point, you're just really trying to piss me off with your titles. Because you could have picked like some easier words to just pronounce for someone who hasn't spoken French in like 10 years or so. Seriously, you could have made that easier for me, right? Like, it could just be like Paris Amour or whatever, but it has to be a word like déchu, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Couldn't you just like use something that I learned back in the day? Something like niquer, se noyer, les bidules. That's words that I know that are useful, and those mean in order to fuck, to drown yourself, and the thingamajiggies, in case you were not French. So let's listen to Amour déchu. Cool. Wop, 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 wop. Oh, damn. Didn't see that coming. Cool drum sound. Raw. I like it. I think I pronounced it correctly. Cool. I can hear your laptop clicking in the background, or your space key when you're recording stuff. Dude, I like this one. Fun track. This is cool, man. I think this is really going in a good direction for you. And I like it's kooky. It's got a weird, fun attitude about it, you know? It's at the same time serious and like to the point, and you know what you're doing, but it's also playful and strange and, yeah, as I said, kooky, right? I think it's a really good mix for you. I think this works really well with your character, works really well with the whole thing that you're trying to build. I think this is a great track for you. The drums coming in really surprised me, especially like as big as they are. It really like, whoa, okay, cool. That's a statement. I like it. It's not just like some drum set, like a drummer that comes in, kind of carefully sets up his drum set in the background and just plays a little groove up to your song. No, this is like a big thing, that really like completely changed the attitude of your song. And I like it. I like the whole like that stuff is fun. It's cool. I dig it, man. I think this is going in a really good direction. I was thinking like maybe the drums could also, let me check whether that actually happens. I mean, there's a lot of percussion. I was thinking at some point just actually having a hi-hat to kind of round out the kick and snare. It's like a hi-hat sound that actually fits those two. Right now it feels like a kick and snare thing, and then there's also percussion in the background. It doesn't feel like, and to me that it still sounds like a little bit of a naked groove, right? For me, like a drum groove should be kick, snare, and hi-hat, or some other, could be ride, could be crash, could be toms, whatever. But something to round that out. Otherwise, it still feels a little naked to me. And I think it's good when it starts, but later on in the song, I wish it was just like, a little bit more of that togetherness. The groove could sound a little fuller, I think. Other than that, man, I think this is great. It's really good, fun track. I really don't have anything negative to say about it. The cool thing is with your style, you can pretty much do anything. And what I want to really encourage you to do is go a little crazy with every track. Do something that's weird musically, right? And be brave. Do some really weird, fancy stuff. Not fancy stuff, funky stuff, right? Be funky. Do something that's just like unheard of before in music. Do something weird with every track, and really push yourself to find at least one thing per track that is weird. We listen to it and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I'm sure you've seen, or you're familiar with Christopher Nolan, who just made Tenet. I personally don't think Tenet is very much of is a very good movie or anything. But I think it's a really good puzzle. It's a really fun thing to watch still, mostly for that intellectual, playful center idea of the reversed objects. And I don't want to spoil anything here, but I think it's, emotionally, I don't think it's a very interesting movie, but story-wise, I don't think it's very good. But I think it's really interesting. It's got a really interesting core idea. And I think you need something like that for every song as well. I think that will really help your thing. It could even just happen once per song, but I think your song should be the type of song where I go, oh, that's the song where you do this funky thing, or that's the thing where you do this weird thing, or here's the thing where, I recognize this song because it does something that I've never heard anywhere else in music before, right? So just be weird, do some stuff, even if it's not musical. Sometimes just go out of bounds. Like, have a section where you just stop the music and we just hear you on your bicycle humming a tune or whatever. And it's just completely different than everything else we've heard before. And then at the end, we go back into the chorus. Just like do some weird shit. Do some really weird shit. Just try to do something like that every song. And sometimes it's musical, sometimes it's just weird. But I think you could ride on that wave of artisticness, hipsterness a little bit more. But I think all of what I've heard is really going in a good direction. I'm not saying that this is bad by any means. I'm just saying like that's something I could see for you as well. Is like go outside of what's normal in music. And I mean, just to be clear here, I'm not saying like go for like the really weird, crazy harmony. That's really the opposite of what I'm saying. I mean, have like these funky, poppy songs that are really catchy, as you have right now. But then every once in a while, and I think once per song is maybe just a good challenge to yourself, do something that's just weird, you know, just go break out of it and do something that's just like completely not pop. It makes this really a hipster thing, like something really alternative. And then come back and, you know, go back into your hook, into your poppy hook that people can remember. But just have those moments that just make this an acquired taste thing that people want to share with each other. Just like listen to what this guy's doing. That's not allowed. Like I've never heard that in pop music before. So there. Good, folks. I think that's it for this week. What a fun session. I'm in a brilliant mood today, obviously, because HSA is starting on Monday, or not HSA, but the sales for it are starting on Monday. The Songwriting Decks are finally shipping out, and I saw that review this morning. It's just making me all making me feel all woozy inside. So yeah, good session, folks. I'm feeling great. Hopefully, it was anything useful today. I don't know. Sometimes when you feel good, then the live stream really suffers, and your feedback really suffers. But I think today was pretty good. I'm feeling pretty confident about today. But I don't know. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Stay gefällig. And if you are interested in HSA, make sure you read your emails because, again, Tuesday is the official launch. And if you're on the HSA waitlist, which you can sign up for on the Holistic Songwriting website, holistic-songwriting.com, you just go to products, and there you'll see it. It's a big banner. You can't miss it. You can sign up to the wait list, and you'll get the thing on Monday already, which means you will have the link to the sales page a full 24 hours earlier than everyone else, which is crazy talk. But we only have 30 seats open for Holistic Songwriting Academy. So if you're not one of those 30 people, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait another year at least. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to start the new semester. I'm going to start a new class, to be able to enroll again. There's that. Try to be one of those 30 people. If you're interested, please sign up to the HSA waitlist, because it might be that, you know, we fill those 30 places just within the first hour, and then we don't even have like an official release. I don't know. It's the first time we're doing this. But if you want to be if you want to be safe, if you want to be extra careful, then please sign up to the HSA waitlist. All right, folks, thank you so much. Take care. Stay safe. Cheers.